Yo, what's up guys? This is going to be my to-go tutorial series, whatever you want to guides, whatever you want to call it, about artifacts. Normally my videos are like super long. You've seen like guide videos are like 30 minutes, way longer or anything like that. Artifacts I could talk about like 4 or 5 hours easily, easy, because artifacts, it is difficult. Yes, there's so much potential and so many people are doing it wrong. So therefore I'm making these videos, but I don't want to make an hour or like 4-hour video. It's gonna bore you guys. You're not gonna watch it. For me, it's annoying to make. So I want to make bite-sized videos of like 8 to 15 minutes. I'm planning to do it maybe like daily for the next, like, I'm not sure if I'm not that good with schedules, but next 14-ish days to upload one every day or every other day. That's my kind of goal. So if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, this is the moment, because you're gonna miss out on those, or you're gonna have to check them later. I'll put them in a playlist, that kind of stuff. But I want to make videos of just one content, of like this content, these artifacts, or these units, these artifacts, and just like keep it like closed and just go focused on one specific thing, or one specific thing with artifacts. Okay, artifacts, this line, what does it do, where should you use it, blah blah, what's important, that kind of stuff. So no, after one video you do not know exactly which artifacts to keep, which artifacts not to keep, that kind of stuff. So it is difficult, but I highly recommend you, if you have been doing your artifacts like, I just do it for the base stats, that kind of stuff, the stats are actually insanely good, and that makes so much more potential in any content, like legit siege, arena, just PvE, even for mid-game players. Early game players, maybe not that much, but mid-game players, easily. Early game players, you can get the base stats, that's about it. But even for earlier game players, I got a tip for you later. So that's going to be in this video. Actually, I have a few tips in this video of just like an overall understanding for artifacts, just to get you going, that kind of stuff, because it would be sad if you start throwing away a lot of your good artifacts because my video came out like what, 1-2 weeks later. So my plan is I'm going to do one video per day, or maybe one every other day. I wrote down like everything I want to talk about, and I currently have, including this one, number one, I have 13 videos. I'm not joking, 13 freaking videos. So you can spam me if I didn't make it to 13. I hope I do. Maybe I get bored of this series, I don't know. So please like this, like the whole series, everything. And tips I'm gonna have for you today. When you are upping your artifacts, you should not up your artifacts here. I do not recommend to up your artifacts here, because if you go on the spot upping your artifacts, you are probably gonna misjudge, miss things, whatever you have. So actually, best thing what I've been doing lately, I have my second screen over there. The moment I start upping artifacts, I have a picture of the box of my RTA, and I have the picture. I look at the picture, I look at an artifact, I look at the picture, and I'm like, okay, oh wait, this unit, wait, that might actually make sense. Because if you just think of it, you just read something, you think of it, and you're like, nah. But then you look at it, like at your picture, and then you're like, wait, but this unit, I don't use it much, but it fits really good. So could be a good artifact. Same like you could do for like your dungeon teams. That's what I actually have on, like I have a few pictures actually that I just look at, my monster box, my dungeon teams, those kind of things. Just a simple screenshot, put it on a second screen, or you're like on a laptop or anything when you're upping artifacts. Just look at it, kind of like at some point it becomes like more of a habit that you're looking at what kind of unit you have. But there's a whole bunch of artifacts that do make sense that you don't think of right away. Because for example, like dark damage on water, and you're like, nah, that doesn't make any sense. And then you're wait, what? I use crow in giants, so wait, that does make sense. So those kind of like small things, that's PvE, that's same thing in siege. You could do your siege teams, anything, you could put a lot of stuff in there. So that's tip number one. Tip number two, blue artifacts can be good. Not this one though. But if your blue artifact is actually, let's see if we have any example, any decent example in these. Let's say you have the 2 damage lines, or 2 lines that makes a lot of sense, like exactly what you need, especially focused on X element damage on X element. So it can be rolled a 15 right now. 15 is insanely high. That's a lot of extra damage. That makes your Lucian one-shot a wave where he before couldn't one-shot a wave. So those kind of blue artifacts you want to look out for, because it's a lot easier to actually get these blue artifacts to roll double, rather you have a 3-way split, and you still have to, you probably roll a double anyway. So it's way easier to get that for the blue artifacts. Sure, you want to get like legendary artifacts, blah blah blah, but still you have so many lines that don't really make sense that rolling legendary artifacts is gonna be different. So one of these examples is actually this artifact. This artifact is really good. Sure, it's not a blue artifact, but it has pretty much blue stats. If I had an artifact that would start with the speed, it is a little bit more, but for rolls, it actually is pretty much the same. So if it would max roll speed, it will max roll attack. And then for the third roll that comes with it, it goes in defense. The fourth roll, you roll max HP. It becomes something like this. So it is actually possible. It just shows the potential. Yeah, no, this is actually not a, this was a legendary that rolled really shit. That also happens, and that's the issue with legendaries, and therefore a blue one can be really good. Another tip is remember this, or also when you're upping artifacts, put this on your second screen, whatever you have your monster box from the previous tip. Put it somewhere there, remember it, because it's actually pretty important to know what is a high roll, what is a low roll, what is important, how good is something. And especially with these new stats, it's gonna take a while. You just need it at the start, and the moment you start rolling it more often. Another really good tip for early game players is if you can't clear B10, farm B8. B8 is the first of the threshold where you don't get any green, so you don't get any magic quality artifacts. You're not gonna get legendaries. The chance of you getting heroes is pretty small, but you can actually get some artifacts that have stats that make sense. So let's say you're earlier game player, you need to have an artifact that is fire damage on wind to up like whatever dungeon you're running. Farm B8s of SF and PC important artifacts which really help your game. The thing is, having a blue artifact is legit as good as having a blue artifact from 10. The thing is, with runes you can get like 4 stars if you farm lower dungeons, or you can get like 5. With artifacts you just get blue ones, and you get blue ones in B10, you get blue ones in B8, and you're not gonna get magic ones. So if you farm B7, you are gonna get some magics here and there, but the thing is, B8 is a good one to threshold. You're not gonna get any legendaries. There's no legendaries until you actually farm B9, but they have a really small chance of legendaries. So I just recommend go for the B8 until you can actually go like B10. So another tip I have, which is really important, is try to roll everything. If it's just +3, like this for example, it looks really shit, right? Well, it's not really shit. It has like reduced from water, which makes kind of sense. It's a low roll. The first line doesn't make any sense. The third line could be nice. But if we up this and it actually goes into wind, +5, it's a 10, can be pretty useful already. For a lot of people, they would sell it like, see, let's go, there's a 10. If it now would roll into something else, it is not interesting for me. So if it would keep rolling like high into wind, I keep it. So for me, I want to roll as much as possible, because the early stages, let's see, 13, let's go. The early stages are really cheap. So even if you're low on mana, the early stages are really, really cheap, especially for blues, but also for heroes, they're really, really cheap. So the moment this thing goes in something else right now, I would still sell it on the +9. But at least I tried. And sure, that takes a lot more effort. But I think, like, so in this case, it's not interesting for me. But it takes a lot more effort. But I think a lot of people are doing this wrong. And also with runes. Well, runes are a bit more expensive because they always have the same upping cost. But for artifacts, you actually have the benefit that non-legendary artifacts, like the heroes, they're a lot cheaper. So if you have mana issues, still, like for example this, let's say you don't have any like speed damage artifacts yet, and it's not preferably on the blue. You want 2 lines that are really good. So when you have a hero, I would give or take even 1 line that's really good, that's really fitting. I would keep that one. With blue ones, I would prefer to have at least the 2 lines that you like both, though doesn't matter in what it goes, you like both. And just roll it. Like legit, just roll it, just try. I'm actually selling most blue because I farmed a lot of artifacts already that I kind of need triple rolls in stuff to actually make use of it. And also, like, if anything is low roll, just toss it. If it starts with a low roll, you don't necessarily have to toss it. Just give it a +3. If the +3 is nice, keep on going. If not, just sell it. But give a lot of artifacts a try to at least roll. Keep a lot of stuff. But for that, it's also really important to know what are you looking for? What kind of stats are you looking for? What is important? That's coming with all of these videos. Another tip is, this is my Katarina. Do I use my Katarina? No. Does it have artifacts? Yes. Why? I'm storing artifacts because your artifact space is maximum of 400 right now. It's a reasonable number. I call it a rookie number at 300. Still call it kind of a rookie number at 400, but it is reasonable. But as you see in the top right corner, I have 764 artifacts in total. I store a lot of artifacts on all units that, well, not all of them, but a lot of them on like 6 stars. So a lot of like the 6 stars that I have, they have all 1 or 2. Maybe I took one out, I didn't place one back. That's kind of why you see like one spot empty for some. But with a lot of them, I just stored artifacts, and during free room removal, you can pull those off. You can actually say like, okay, this is maybe not that good, and you just can start selling like a bunch of those. But it's a way to, especially for those artifacts, especially light and dark, like let's say you get a really good like Jaeger artifact. You don't want to toss it, but the chances of you getting a Jaeger is really small, right? So you might as well just toss it on a light unit. Keep it there. If you get the Jaeger, well, you have this crazy artifact. If you don't get Jaeger, well, it's not a waste of a space. So that's kind of another tip. Which also gets into, for light and dark, be more strict on, but also on defense, be more strict on what you keep and what you don't keep. Because in the end, how many light units do you actually use? How many dark units do you actually use? It's a lot less than the amount of like normal element units that you use. But still then, try to memorize what your highest roll was for that artifact, or your best artifact for that one. The moment you surpass it, sell the old one, keep the new one. So you want to kind of have like an overall understanding of, like, let's say any element, damage on any element, and then for like all 5 against all 5, keep the highest one. So you at some point have like a 15 on like everything. So fire has 15 on wind, 15, well, maybe not on water, but 15 on wind, 15 on light, 15 on dark, blah blah, preferably with the attack base, but also for like reduce damage from. But you're gonna want to have these artifacts stored at some point, the moment the meta switches a bit, or the moment a new unit comes out and that becomes the new dungeon meta, or you have like a new siege defense, and therefore you have to, the main counter is this, which is not like the ordinary element before. Because for example, if you use a Martina on defense, you are using reduce from water, which is not that, because it's the main counter, blah blah. So you kind of want to keep all of these combinations, and then besides that, you can just like store a lot of stuff. But try to memorize your best one. If you just don't need that many, try to memorize your best one and just keep a few good ones. And every time you surpass the best one again, you can just maybe like start tuning down and selling like old one. Another thing which is pretty important is like, how important is a base stat? How important is a base stat? That really depends on what unit you're using. A really good example for that is Perna. Perna's base stat of defense is insanely low. If I would give this an artifact of 1500 HP, it sounds cool, it scales with Perna's S3, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. So adding 1500 HP is about like 12% of an increase. Let's look at the defense. So the defense I just calculated is 22%. So by pure stats. So it is a 22% roll to get defense plus 100. So a few units have that. For example, Vigor has pretty low base attack. Yes, he scales with attack. Also low defense. Fran has low defense, that kind of stuff. Diana has low attack, low defense, those kind of things. So if you start like stacking their main stat on the base of the artifact, it's not always as good. But then you look at, for example, a Ciara or a Savannah, which has like kind of like good base stats in everything, and then it matters less. So for some of these units, it's just more important, like, hey, I have the perfect lines on it. And for some units, like, okay, I need good lines, but I really care about the baseline. And another question I get a lot is like, okay, is X artifact better than Y artifact? So unless you're gonna do the heavy math, which is kind of involved with some of those questions, it's just trial and error. Like, equip one on illusion, hit it, try the other one, hit it, see the amount of damage, simple as that. Also with like reductions, that kind of stuff. At some point it's just trial and error. Within these videos I try to do a lot of the trial and error for you, so kind of comparing X to Y. So if you haven't yet, this is the moment you have to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because I'm gonna do a lot of those things that you probably don't want to do because it costs mana, or it's annoying to do, or it's like just difficult to test and that kind of stuff. So yeah. So those were the general tips. I hope this video is not too long. This is one of the longer videos, but I kind of want to keep it to this size. So for the next, like for the videos which are coming, it's going to be artifacts for dungeons, the power of like additional damage on artifacts, crit damage comparisons, or which crit damage is better for which units, but also how much does it add, blah blah blah. How does the good crit damage and the bad crit damage kind of stuff works? How does life drain work? Does it work on vampire? Does it not? Where is it good? Would it be good on this unit, that kind of stuff? So wait, that's already 4. Yes, then we have 5. Damage increasing artifacts compared. So we're comparing like the additional damage lines compared to the lines of getting additional crit damage, that kind of stuff. Then we have a video about non-damage units on artifacts. Then we have like artifacts for arena, artifacts for a siege offense, artifacts for siege defense, artifacts for RTA damage dealers, artifacts for RTA support, artifact for units I didn't talk about. And by that time, like, I used one hand twice, and then I'm here, so I'm like 13 videos in. So that's all coming. I hope to bring that out as soon as possible to you, but I don't want to push all of those videos in like one day and then just submit the whole, like upload the whole thing. I'm just gonna do it one day by day. You can just follow it on, like watch it day by day, but you can also have it like watch back certain parts later on, that kind of stuff. I might be referring like here and there to like older videos. I'll be always posting like the whole playlist of everything that I posted already. So stay tuned for that. Guys, thanks for watching, and hit that subscribe button. See you in the next one.